This was fierce, effective, and transcendental. And you can quote me on that. So I am back with another brand new reaction. This one goes out to my girlfriend Rachel. It's a belated but much deserved birthday gift. Not only is she my partner, but she's been one of the biggest supporters of Nuclear Reactions since year one. So I am more than happy to check out for the first time another new song by Ahab, featuring none other than Esoteric, doing guest work on this one. Look up the band and look up my reactions to them if you're not familiar, because you're definitely missing out. Yeah, this is really an unexpected but exciting collaboration, and the song is called The Maelstrom. Now, someone told me, and I checked Metal Archives to confirm this, that the new record is a concept album based off of Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And as a voracious reader who also owns a hardcover collector's edition of Jules Verne's works, I find that to be very cool. Check it out. I got this at Barnes & Noble a few years ago, and it's just awesome. I love, old school hardcover books like this. If I could have a whole library of books like this, I definitely would. So suffice it to say that I'm geeking out a little bit for this one. But yeah, really excited to just jump into it. But before I do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on socials. The Linktree link will be in the description below. Also check out my Patreon, also in the description. If you join Tier 4 in my Patreon, you can make a song request and guarantee a reaction to it right away. So if you want that special VIP treatment, definitely consider becoming a member. Alright, Ahab, The Maelstrom featuring Esoteric. Let's check it out. They're continuing to make good use of cleans on this album. I had the same compliment for the last song I checked out. This kind of feels like you almost caught the song right in the middle. This doesn't particularly feel like a beginning to me, but that's kind of cool. In literary works, it's what they call in media res. It's when you begin a story right in the middle of things. No build-up, no initial prelude, just jump right in. And that's what this song feels like it's doing musically. So that's pretty cool. And I really like the voice so far. And there's little hints of, not exactly groove, but there's a little bluesy thing happening that I can't quite put my finger on, but I really like it. My thoughts so far. Let's continue. This just makes you feel like you're drifting away at sea, doesn't it? I like that little subtlety. He went a little bit lower with his voice there. Little inflection in his voice. Very nice. That's a good riff right there. Nice and dirty. That's gotta be esoteric right there. Okay, those harshes add a nice bit of darkness to the song. Because right now we're 666,000 leagues under the sea. Seriously, like when that kicked in, it was just the injection of additional grit and, again, darkness that I think this song needed. The epicness was already there. Again, you had that sort of like bluesy quality in certain parts when it comes to the instrumentation. So those two things were really, really present. But then, like, to just have that sudden influx of a more guttural sound and a more, maybe a switch from a more epic to a more harrowing kind of sound. I think that was a cool transition. So where the song is going to go from here, if those two elements or themes are going to converge, that remains to be seen. But it's a nice change up. I like how those vocals came in. I like how the drumming is complementing the vocals here. See? That's bluesy as hell, isn't it? The guitar right there? I'm digging this. Okay, two things. Some of the most unique guitar work I've heard recently, and I'm here for it. It's so good. And what was the second thing? Oh yeah, Ahab has definitely surpassed mere doom metal or mere funeral doom at this point. They are way more than that. They're a multitude of genre influence at this point. And I'm here for that too, because they're making it work. And this is one hell of a song so far. I don't know if I like it more than Mobilis in Mobili. It's right up there though, neck and neck. We'll see, but it's still excellent as of now, and we'll see where it goes from here. I love how the drumming is spaced out enough to complement and allow room for the vocals. Oh, nice little drum roll there. That is a quality fucking shriek. Oh, are those meant to be submarine sounds right there? Another nice subtle touch. Wow. You know, I always struggle with words for this kind of thing. Let me get it right this time. This was fierce, effective, and transcendental. And you can quote me on that. You know what? I really liked how the end part was. Like, I'll get to this in a minute. This is very much dealing with the story, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The ending part made me think of like a submarine being submerged, right? The coral tomb. It falls into the coral tomb. It falls into the depths of the sea, to the sea floor, where it's lost forever in this dark underwater abyss. And the sounds that I heard in the song as it ended were very much evocative of that. It really embodied that very well. So I feel like this was probably one of the best examples that I can think of in recent times of story put to music, where the thematic beats of the story, the emotional beats, the narrative turns, all of those things are like represented on some level sonically here. Look, I always give Ahab credit. Of course, Esoteric is amazing as well, and when they come together, the music is bound to be awesome. But the fact that they go above and beyond to really pay homage to the original story that this is centered around, and the fact that they're genius and inventive enough to represent that within the very sound itself, that's something phenomenal, and it deserves to be praised because it's just so excellent. I feel like I'm going to get to things in kind of a randomized order because my mind is a little bit scatterbrained at the moment. I'm a little bit all over the place. So I'll just start with the drumming, because the drumming did a really good job of being, again, I'm going to use the word effective, also subtle, textured and of not overstaying its welcome. And what I mean by that is the drummer did a very good job at interspersing the drum beats in a way so that they complemented rather than overpowered everything else happening in the song, particularly the vocals. Like I said when I paused the music at one point, I really like how the drumming was organized around the vocals so that it was allowing the vocals to really come through on their own, but it was still, again, complementing them with the various drum beats and the various cymbal hits and so on and so forth. So it was used with enough nuance and enough cleverness to be a powerful player in this song and be equally on par with the rest of the instrumental work, but at the same time not take anything away from the overall depth and grit and darkness of the vocals themselves. And the vocals were spectacular. Part of the more growly harshness I'm attributing to Ahab's vocalist, and I'm always feeling terrible that I forget the names of the band members, but the vocalist is Daniel Drosty, and the guest and session musicians says on Metal Archives that there's only one guest musician on track 7, Greg Chandler, and Greg Chandler is the vocalist of Esoteric. So when they say featuring Esoteric, I think only the vocalist of the band was actually featured on this song. But nevertheless, his harshes were insanely good, very dark, very gritty, and very, it felt like they came from like the dregs of the deepest abyss, because they were so low, but not low in the typical death metal kind of way that I don't always particularly care for. But it was just a nice counterpoint to the cleans, especially, that Daniel was doing. Yeah, I mean, a very, very good complement of different stylistic choices when it comes to the vocal approach here. So yeah, I really enjoyed that combination and the contrast and how they offset one another and how that worked so well for the transition from one particular set of vocals to the next. So that was really great. And again, I like that they each had the time and the presence and the power to shine through without being overshadowed by anything else. Which in particular, the guitar, if this song wasn't structured so well and so creatively and so cleverly, the guitar is the one thing that I think could have overshadowed the vocals for both vocalists here. Because the guitar was really good and was really something that felt unique to this song and something that I felt had a certain twang to it, a certain blues sensibility. So it's that one atypical ingredient, I think, that can make a song just a little bit different in the most nuanced of ways that you may not necessarily pick up on if you don't pay proper attention. But if you do, those little moments are really rewarding. So this was so well put together musically. I hope that I've done justice to my review of the music itself. But there's nothing that I can really critique here. Everything was geniusly well done. And just was fantastic. It was this song, I can, yeah, if I can speak, I can honestly conclude now that I like this song more than Mobilis in Mobili. Though I like that one as well. But this so far, it's one hell of a way to end the album, you know? The way that it started was cool, just throwing you right in. The way that it ended, again, connecting some kind of narrative tissue to the actual musical approach itself was one hell of a clever idea. So, now let's get to the lyrics. It was not mere misanthropy, but hated, monstrous, or sublime. Ascend, ascend, to the surface of the sea. Stupor deep, death is on the rise, crowding the ratlines, clinging to the mast, paralyzed and stiffened, with her voice in oceans vast. I am Captain Nemo. I've seen things none should ever see. I sail the subaquatic streams. I mock storm and heavy seas. I am Captain Nemo. For some I'm just a deadly brute. Call me Archangel of Hate. But I'm just numb and mute. I've witnessed gloomy times so rough. I shall cherish all I've lost. Almighty God, enough, enough. Descend the maelstrom, till bolts give way to mighty waves. Okay, so from the lyrics right down to the song title, this tells the basic story of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And I know the whole record is supposed to revolve around that. But if you go back and watch my reaction to their song, Mobilis in Mobili, I feel like those lyrics were much more open to different interpretations. And I did have an interpretation of my own in that reaction. Whereas this is pretty much as straightforward as it can get. If you look at the song name itself, it's The Maelstrom. Starting with that, the story's main character sends the submarine Nautilus at the end of the story into this giant whirlpool, and it's called Moskenstraumen, if I'm pronouncing that right, but also known as the Maelstrom. And basically the other main characters, they survive by escaping onto an island, but it's implied that Nemo and everyone else dies. Although that ending is sort of left open to interpretation to a certain degree. And where it says in the lyrics, "Almighty God, enough, enough," that's actually a direct quote of what Nemo says, what he cries out in the novel. And also elsewhere, where it says, "Call me Archangel of Hate," that's what the story's narrator, who he captures and forces to stay on the submarine, that's what the narrator calls Nemo. He calls him an Archangel of Hate. So yeah, I mean, I should have expected that this band would tackle Jules Verne at some point, considering how literary their lyrics have always been. Like, there are only so many albums and songs that you can do based around Moby Dick, and similar or derivative works, before you have to kind of change it up a little bit. And really, if you think about it, this has a lot in common thematically with that novel. Even the idea of grappling with powerful beasts, like they deal with giant squid in 20,000 Leagues, and also the submarine itself is seen as a monster. It's almost its own character in the book. At first it's thought to be a giant narwhal. So it takes some of the thematic essence of something like Moby Dick, but it uses it to craft a science fiction story. And I'd really like to see Ahab tackle even more literary classics, because their music is a perfect fit for it. Like, next the band needs to adapt the tales of Sinbad from 1001 Nights, or the Odyssey. Both of them have seafaring elements to them, so it would work. I'd love to check out a concept record based around either of those stories. But just deciding to base this album on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I think, was also brilliant. And just another reason in a long list of reasons why more people need to really pay attention to this band and check out their music. And it's the kind of music where you can read the lyrics alongside the music as you're listening to it. And you could let the two just work in tandem with one another to really paint a full story in your head. Now, for me personally, I have always found it hard to read books if there's music playing in the background. But if I'm reading lyrics that go hand in hand with the music, but also tell a story all their own, that I think I could get into. Like, one of the reasons in my reactions why I don't read off the lyrics as I'm hearing the music is because I don't want to multitask so much that my brain gets distracted. I want to fully pay attention to the music so I can properly review it afterward. But for this song, the lyrics playing hand in hand with it, it works. It just does. And the lyrics, even from the first verse, delve into some of the meanings and symbolism within the original novel. Like it says, "It was not mere misanthropy, but hatred, monstrous or sublime." So Nemo is someone who has a hatred for people and society, and wants to break away and find something greater out in the sea. And there's also an implication that he might have had a criminal past, and he's now on the run from any forms of government on the land. The sea at this point is still very much an open and lawless kind of place, so there's an idea of personal liberation implied there. And when it comes to the theme or the idea of wanting to be free from society, more so out of a sense of pure misanthropy or nihilism, I kind of want to relate to another novel, which it's different, it's a Western, but Blood Meridian, another must-read in my opinion. Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. There was an interview where a favorite band of mine, Watain, Eric specifically, was talking about why he liked that novel so much. And he said that it was a spiritual pilgrimage that he himself found value in, or that it was representative of that. And that it also represented a long, hard road through a melancholic vastness, mixed with rampant outbursts of blood-soaked barbarism. And when you think of not only something like Blood Meridian, but again, relating it back here to the novel by Verne, or even to Moby Dick, when you think about something like that, it's that similar desire to be free of the laws and confines of man, of society, and to to go out into that open vastness and just experience the raw brutality that comes with that, usually stemming from nature itself. And, of course, beasts like the whale, like the giant squid, like the nautilus, they are inherently representative of that. And so I think that it speaks to a desire to cast aside the complexity of luxury and order, and instead embrace the simplicity of chaos and brutality. It's just a human being facing an insurmountable adversary, whether it's a force of nature or something science fiction related, a great beast or a monster. It's very much a dark night of the soul kind of moment. And why do people do this? Well, not everyone does, first of all. But in certain people, there's just something in them, I think, that makes them feel that they need to have this grand confrontation. And I think that's maybe one of the driving factors behind people in modern times who are like adrenaline junkies, right? They're always seeking that next big challenge, whether it's free climbing up a skyscraper, the Burj Khalifa, or, I don't know, skydiving, or what do you call those people who jump off buildings and they have those, not parachutes, but they're kind of like parasails that are sort of like outfits. There's a particular name for it. Let me know in the comments, because I'm just drawing a blank right now. But anyway, I think that there's probably a similar hunger and desire in people who do things like that in modern times. Like, that's their great beast that they're facing and they're overcoming. It's just the feeling of danger that they want. And, so I don't necessarily understand it perfectly, but maybe they're doing it to discover something about themselves, or maybe to test themselves. But I think that that's at the heart of Verne's novel, in terms of concepts and symbolism. It's also something that the song lyrics do a decent attempt at tapping into. I'm thinking also of Star Trek V, where Captain Kirk tries to climb the what's it called? The El Capitan mountain. And the reason he gives is basically, well, because it's there. He actually did an interview, William Shatner. He did an interview about that kind of got turned into a song and a meme.
Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? To hug the mountain. To envelop that mountain with hug the mountain.
But still, the point stands. There's a certain kind of person that needs a giant deadly thing to overcome. And the story of man grappling with beast is a story as old as time. And I think that has and always will tap into that psychological, maybe even spiritual need that some people will always have. So, really well done in terms of the lyrics. As usual, that's nothing surprising, is it? And the music was fucking great. So, Rachel, thank you so much for this request, and hope you had an awesome birthday with me. I really enjoyed our day hiking in the woods, and just one more of many great memories to come. So, but yeah, great suggestion. And how can you go wrong with Ahab and esoteric once again? You just can't fail with that. So this was every bit as excellent as I hoped it would be. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And if you made it this far, I really appreciate that. If you're new here, definitely subscribe, give this video a like, leave a comment down below. Much more content on the way. Much love to the Nuclear family, and I will catch you all very soon.
Hug the mountain. Envelop that mountain with hug the mountain. To envelop that mountain with hug the mountain. That mountain. Challenge the rock. Challenging death.